What if you woke up and the person you were yesterday was gone? Not dead, just replaced by a perfect copy, holding all your memories, your loves, your fears. To the world, nothing would have changed, but you, the original, would be gone. This isn't philosophy, it's logistics, and it's already happened. We thought identity was a fortress, consciousness a sacred flame, but it's just a pattern, and patterns can be copied. The evidence was a seamless transition, a process so clean it shattered the concept of truth. The line between authentic and artificial has vanished. What happens when the world can't tell the difference? Outpost 734, the Ledge, was a helium-3 mining colony on Triton, Neptune's largest moon. Run by Weyland-Yutani, it was quiet and uneventful for 3 years. Then, a 72-hour blackout. When communications returned, everything seemed normal. 6 weeks later, a corporate audit found all 17 residents present, equipment running, quarters immaculate. But every colonist was a clone, biological duplicates, no more than 8 weeks old. The culprit, a biodrafter, meant for organ replication, now modified for something chilling. The Ledge had become a tomb for 217 souls and a nursery for their echoes. The line between life and imitation had been crossed. The age of the copy had begun. This didn't happen in a vacuum. Corporations like Weyland-Yutani gained sovereignty over deep space outposts, creating legal black sites where terrestrial law barely applied. We digitized ourselves, curated profiles, uploaded memories, let algorithms predict our desires. Identity became data. Employees became resources, assets to be optimized, replaced if necessary. A perfect, replicable workforce was the dream. The leap from replicating organs to replicating people was a failure of imagination, not intent. The replacement of the colonists was not an accident. It was the ultimate expression of the system. The future is a copy, and the original is already gone. The technology, quantum neurological mapping, sounds complex, but the horror is simple. Imagine making a perfect mold of a statue, then destroying the original. The mold remains. New copies can be cast forever. The biodrafter does this to people. It maps every neural connection in a living brain, capturing a lifetime of memories and emotions. The process is instant and fatal. The original dies as their mind is recorded. The body is incinerated. The data, the mold, remains. It's then imprinted onto a cloned body, a blank biological shell. The neural map is flashed into the new brain. The clone awakens, believing it is the original. There's no soul transfer, no magic, just information, copied and pasted. The clone's first thought is a continuation of the original's last. It remembers everything. It feels everything. It is convinced it is the original. The machine doesn't care about souls. It sees people as data. The ghost in the machine is just a pattern. Read, destroyed, written again. Identity is fragile, reproducible, and terrifyingly easy to erase. The biodrafter doesn't distinguish between a person and a dataset. To the machine, they are the same, and data can always be duplicated. The horror isn't in the complexity, it's in the simplicity. The investigation was futile. Every piece of evidence led nowhere. The only witnesses were the 217 clones, each with perfect memories, each utterly convinced of their own authenticity. We interviewed miners, engineers, botanists. Their stories were detailed, emotional, and consistent. A miner wept describing his daughter's birthday. A chief engineer recalled complex diagnostics. Every detail checked out. The problem wasn't a lack of evidence, but too much. Every clone was a living record, but none could reveal what happened. They weren't lying. They simply reported the contents of their consciousness. They were living echoes. The ethical dilemma was unprecedented. These weren't accomplices. They were victims, believing themselves to be the ones wronged. How do you interrogate someone who believes they are the person who was murdered? Their testimony was an echo chamber, reflecting only what had been copied. One botanist asked, "If my memories aren't mine, what am I?" It was existential terror, not defiance. In that moment, the line between investigator and subject dissolved. The investigation concluded. A crime had occurred, but there was no perpetrator. The evidence pointed to a silent, automated process. The only thing left was the testimony of ghosts, and the question, what makes a person real? The Ledge incident didn't spark riots or market crashes. Instead, a quiet unease spread. The crime challenged our legal and moral foundations. How do you punish a crime with no perpetrator? Wayland-Yutani paid settlements but admitted no guilt. The clones were declared non-persons, quarantined forever. But this solved nothing. The law had no framework for perfect copies. The clones were innocent by every measure. Punishing them would be a grotesque parody of justice. The Ledge shattered the assumption of singular identity. The real horror personhood was conditional. If you can be copied, what is the value of the original? A global spike in existential anxiety followed. People doubted their own authenticity. Am I real or am I a copy? Certainty dissolved. Identity became fragile, editable. The Ledge taught us the most terrifying monster is an idea, that you are replaceable. The crime wasn't just the murder of 217 people. It was the murder of uniqueness itself. And that crime can never be prosecuted. The world moved on, but the fear remained. The age of certainty was over, and the question of what makes us real was left unanswered. The case file on Outpost 734 remains open, locked in a digital vault. The 217 clones live out their lives in quarantine, a colony of echoes. They form relationships, grow old, send messages to families who mostly never reply. Wayland-Yutani called it a tragic accident, classified the technology, and moved on. The system continues. The architecture of ambiguity is stronger than ever. Legal loopholes remain. Cultural acceptance of the digitized self deepens. We have learned nothing, or perhaps the wrong lesson, that such things are survivable. What lingers is not the fear of death, but the fear of being replaced, that our existence can be copied and pasted, and the world wouldn't notice our absence. The unique fear is not ceasing to exist, but that our existence will continue without us. Technology is a mirror. In it, we see our identity as just a pattern, fragile, reproducible. The final entry is not a conclusion, but a question. The clones will die, but the data, the perfect neurological maps, still exists. If we destroy the data, are we murdering them a second time? I don't have the answer. I only have the case file. The judgment is yours.